So what you shouldn't get rid of, you do far too much, and you regret it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, after the Second World War, they couldn't get rid of all the big Nazis because you can't remove the intelligentsia of a nation, it will collapse in front of you. 80% of the population were gangsters, put it that way, through passive or active means. And if they'd removed everyone, they wouldn't have, I mean, you could have just closed the country and moved into trees here or something. And big Nazis went in, staunch Nazis became judges, influenced the new system, trying to take their influence on the new system. Right here we have a little bit of Nazi architecture coming up on the left. You can see those really strict square windows.
Right.
We're going to see Nazi architecture, and we're going to see Stalinistic architecture on this tour. Nazi architecture expresses eternity and power. Stalinistic architecture, socialistic on the inside and bombastic on the outside. Please don't ask me what socialistic on the inside is. It could be anything. In power, the further into the Nazi regime a building was built, the larger and better quality of granite blocks they would use. We will do injustice to Berlin because there's so much of the Third Reich remains here because Hitler's people was here, but in reality he did not like Berlin, and the Berliners did not like him until the end. Towards the end, everyone got brainwashed. But Berlin was socialistic and communistic, the population. He resented that. And the name Berlin was a Slavic name, inferior. So he was going to change the city and rebuild the city, gigantomanic, and change the name into Germania. George Elsner. George Elsner was a carpenter in Munich. Hitler used to like to give, George Elsner went into a place where Hitler would regularly give speeches. He knew the curriculum and everything, and it was a big pub. It was a big Gasthaus, a restaurant and pub, and he had experience from the First World War with explosives. So he dug into a pillar, kept digging in every time he came, kept digging in more until he could place explosives of such a nature that they would kill Hitler, because he knew where Hitler would stand when he gave his speeches. George Elsner's motive was to try to prevent the Second World War from breaking out because he saw it coming. And it would have killed Hitler. It went off. It would have killed Hitler, but he left 20 minutes early.
Oh.
So you may have seen Valkyrie 1944 when there's an upheaval against Hitler amongst the generals, but the bomb doesn't
bomb
really
under the table,
him.
yeah.
Anyone that resisted Hitler had to be a hero, and this guy was very early. It's indisputable. They incarcerated him and murdered him shortly before the end of the war. George Elsner is his name, and there's this shadow, the sculpture on the top that lights up at night. It's like a shadow picture of his face. This was the old chancellery. It was on that street over there. It wasn't fantastic enough for the Third Reich.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. The First Reich was the Holy Roman Empire of German nations, and the Second Reich existed as of 1871 when Bismarck and the King of Prussia unified the German nations by fighting 3 wars and winning them. And that's when what we call Germany came into existence. It didn't exist before then. They were just loose conglomeration of kingdoms bickering with each other. So here's your Peking duck, would have been there, went all the way down the road. Very tall building. Here's a close-up of the main entrance. See, very tall to crush you emotionally. If you see the guards in front of it, if you turn the picture around, you walk through there, you were in the court of honor.
Wow.
You went through there and kept on walking. You would reach the Marble Gallery. See, when Hitler had conquered Paris, he and his architect Speer saw Versailles in the marble room. So this was a copy of that, and Hitler said, polish the ground, keep it slippery as hell. I want foreign diplomats approaching my working office to understand what they're up against. If you turn it around, you see a picture of his office. I mean, he was a pretty tiny guy, such huge, but it was all there to crush you emotionally as you came towards the big guy. I think nowadays grandiosity is also in mode, so it's nothing completely new. I saw a picture of the bombed out office. The stones from the roof collapsed and broke the oak table in two. Everything in that room was messed up except for the globe. It was, anywhere in the picture I could see no damage to it. And did you ever see The Great Dictator from Charlie Chaplin?
No.
That's where he imitates Hitler. And there's a scene where he's in Hitler's office, and the globe is a balloon, and he's spinning it, bouncing it up and down in his hand. Now everyone went against him. All the politicians said, "Don't provoke him. Don't do this film." Hollywood said, "Don't do it. We're not going to finance it. I'm going to finance it from my own." You would have thought he was Jew the way he went against it. He said, "No, I didn't have that privilege." But he stood up against everyone. He had backbone, and he made that film. And Hitler looked at The Great Dictator in Berchtesgaden, up near an eagle's nest, one thing lower than Eagle's Nest. He had a cinema. He looked at it and he greatly enjoyed it. Of the bombed out new chancellery, it could have been redone, and the Soviet commander was in charge of this part of the city because the wall went right over there on the street on the left. Would have crossed to it at the end. And while he was considering what to do with it, the graffiti sprayers came up with whitewash and paintbrushes, started painting glorifying stuff on it like he's going to rise from the dead. So the Soviet commander said, "That's all we need is a shrine, tear it down." Later they put these prefab buildings up here. And the backyard, if you turn it around, you'll see an architect's plan of it. If you saw those pictures, you must have thought there must be 1,000 offices behind this front with people helping him govern the Reich. If you look at it now from the top, it was skinny, a long skinny building. By the time it was finished, he was the government himself, basically. And they didn't need any legislation anywhere anymore. He made up everything and told them how to make it up. Now, the bunker, this is a picture of the main entrances. They couldn't be blown up until the late 80s. If you turn it around, you can see a water flooded room. Some people I hear saying there's a little left covered up, that the base, the foundation is still there underneath everything, and some say nothing's there, but I think there's a little bit left, but it's not. It may be made accessible to the public one day, but not yet. We don't want to become.
Yeah, our guide a couple days ago told us that there was a base down there, and they filled it.
Here's another picture of the backyard, and if you turn it around, you've got a covering of two, overlapping of two photographs, old and modern, so you can see where we are basically. This is a map of the bunker. They had to fortify it twice. I mean, they made it in the beginning because you have to have one, but they were going to win the war at that time, and when things started going south, they fortified it twice against bombs. And this is a tabloid press guy from 2013 saying, an East German, I have to turn it around and look at it. He said, I put workers' overalls on and I went down. There was another man down there in overalls, but we didn't speak to each other, and I made these pictures and I got away with it. Here's some soldiers looking at a blood-stained. What we know about is that Hitler tried the cyanide capsules on his German Shepherd Blondie first to see if they worked. They worked fine. And Eva Braun chewed on a cyanide capsule and killed herself that way, and Hitler simultaneously bit on the cyanide capsule and shot himself this way, from here to the top of his skull. Had he shot himself in the mouth, there would have been gunpowder on his teeth, because the teeth remained. The large part of the lower jaw and a little bit of the upper remained. He had himself put in a bomb crater, and they tried to cremate him with 20 liters of gasoline, but a body won't really go completely that way. There was enough left when the Soviets came in and found him. And they got hold of his dentist and the dental records, and they compared the dental. He had very bad teeth and extensive dental care on them, and it was 1-to-1 that would convince any judge nowadays. But they told the Americans, we think he escaped to South America. And one of the guides was that I drive around. Sometimes they have a guide in here, and he was a studied historian. He snickered and said, South America is the last place. His people were there. They would have handed him over to the Allies to gain some kind of advantage. And to each other, they were interconnected. So on either side of this intersection, that's exactly above where he committed suicide. There's so many people around that saw it. His secretary, his adjutant, the guy in charge of communications. There's so many testimonies about it.
Right.
You want to believe something? Go ahead. I mean,
Yeah.
people believe what they'd like to.
Je gaat elke oude ook, als je praktisch struiken. Ja. Grappig.
This is the western side. And now past the eastern. That's the tower. That's the known people area. That's a fence. That's another wall. And that's a garden area, right? Yeah, that's a typical car there.
Szene, die, wenn man so will, eine Unterhaltung waren. Die Leute sahen ja ein Kinoverein auch ein Stückchen Welt, was ihnen oft nicht zugänglich wäre. Susanna Paris und Roman London und das ist sonst zwischen Alvana Kamera im Londoner Nebel.
Ich mach gleich was Mann und dann. Marvin! Marvin! Komm mal!
Wir finden Luise. Steps. They're going to do you in, you're a Nazi. Okay, here's my card tickets. Auch bei der Türkei vielleicht auch die haben sie uns nicht erlaubt. Nein, weil das in der Ausstellung ist und die dürfen nicht rein. Ja. Die meisten erlauben das. Die meisten, weil man nimmt ihnen ja die Gäste, was soll's. Here you go. Population persecuted another 6%, and the rest steered clear of everything.
So, zuerst wenn die Luft abgesogen wird, müsst ihr leider schon ein bisschen auch was lesen müssen.